All right, I'm getting ready to head down to Santa Clara. 49ers, as promised, active on this second day after the initial cut to 53 players. So what'll be interesting a little bit later is when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch meet with the media, because it was on this day, I believe, last year where they really turned up the heat on Brandon Ayuk, and then Brandon Ayuk signed that contract, which had been on the table for, I think, 3 weeks. And so 49ers are basically like, you got to do something here, either play or whatever. And so we'll see what approach they take with Jauan Jennings. But some news here. The first bit of news, which is an absolute given, the 49ers claimed a defensive tackle, a second-year defensive tackle, Jordan Jefferson. He played his college football at LSU. They claimed him off waivers from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm just continuing to check my text messages to make sure that nothing escapes me here as far as the questions that I've asked and potentially receiving an answer. So the 49ers will have to make a corresponding move. What does that put? 12 defensive linemen on their roster at this point. And so there'll be a corresponding move, whether that's a player like Jacob Cowan going on IR. Of course, they're also going to re-sign later in the day Thomas Morstead, the punter. So there will be some more moving and shaking. But first, just on Jefferson, he's a player that was a 4th-round pick in the 2024 draft, number 116 overall. Very clearly, the 49ers had a good grade on him. And he kind of fits that profile. He's 6'3", 313 pounds, known to be very quick off the line of scrimmage at the snap. And so that is something that certainly appeals to 49ers defensive line coach Chris Kocurek. He likes those guys who get off at the snap of the ball. Is something that they work on daily with those defensive linemen in practice. But also can be read into this is that the 49ers did like Jefferson more than Sebastian Valdez. Sebastian Valdez, the 49ers signed him as an undrafted rookie from UW. He did not make the 53-man cut. I thought, very borderline. I had him making it over Evan Anderson, but the 49ers go with Evan Anderson instead. The 49ers had no players claimed off waivers by any other team. So, that gives you a bit of an indication of what the rest of the league thought of the 49ers roster, or at least the players that were released. And so that opens the door for Sebastian Valdez to come back to the 49ers, as well as all the other guys that they like, the younger guys. I think Junior Bergen will be back. He was the only draft pick who did not make it as far as the 53-man roster for the 49ers. They did have one undrafted guy make it, and that's Drew Moss, the offensive lineman. We'll see how long Drew Moss sticks, if he remains on the roster past today. All those things will be sorted out to see as the 49ers kind of gain some stability now. Well, the 49ers are certainly going back to Jauan Jennings and just how John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are going to approach this situation with Jennings today when they speak publicly. And now the clock is ticking for that September 7th game against the Seattle Seahawks. They need to get him on the field. They need to get him practicing. And that has to be a source of frustration to the 49ers. At the same time, they probably also have to tread lightly, because Shanahan has said that the MRIs, the imaging that Jennings has had on his calf does show something there. But how much of his absence from the practice field is calf related? How much is contract related? And so we'll probably get a good idea of what's going on, because I think you started to see some frustration from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, just, body language, if nothing else. And those two guys aren't necessarily great at playing poker. So I think you'll be able to tell a lot just by how they answer those questions about Jennings on this day, like I said, around 2 p.m. in Santa Clara. So I'll be heading down there shortly for that. 49ers are in the news a little bit as far as seeking help at the wide receiver position. Now, as I'm taping this, I don't know whether Marquez Valdez-Scantling is active roster or whether it's practice squad. He's entering his 8th NFL season. He was just released by the Seattle Seahawks. That made him available for any team to sign, either to the practice squad or the 53-man. Last year, with both Buffalo and New Orleans combined, 19 catches, 411 yards, 4 touchdowns. So not great production. I think the last time the 49ers saw him, let's see, did they see him in Buffalo? I don't recall, but I do recall this Super Bowl 58 when the 49ers defense was doing a number on Kansas City, and then they had the muffed punt, the turnover, and Kansas City immediately capitalized. It was Patrick Mahomes to Valdez-Scantling, 16-yard touchdown, and that pulled Kansas City within 3 points at that point. And that was really the only touchdown that Kansas City scored until overtime when they went down for the winning point. So not huge numbers in that game, 3 catches for 20 yards for Valdez-Scantling in Super Bowl 58. So that's one option for the 49ers here early in the season, as their wide receiver position is very much in flux. They only have 2 healthy wide receivers. One is Ricky Pearsall. The other is Sky Moore, who has now been with the team for a week, or maybe even still less than a week for Sky Moore. So what's going on with Jennings? Jacob Cowing's going to be out for a while. Jordan Watkins coming back from the injury that he's had. And so we'll say that was a high ankle sprain, but a less severe high ankle sprain. I'm also reporting that a player that I mentioned 2 weeks ago as being the most likely option for the 49ers as far as adding a veteran player who can help them and potentially help them immediately, that is Kendrick Bourne. He asked and received for his release from the Patriots. By the way, I'm just receiving word that the counter moves will be coming shortly. But Kendrick Bourne entering his 9th season in the league. Last year, 28 catches, 305 yards, and 1 touchdown with the Patriots. However, he tore his ACL in 2023. And so I think this year would be the year that he'd be all the way back. And it looks, I've seen him. I know he's rehabbing from a foot injury, but he's free. What I've been told, and I reported, 49ers have high interest, quote, high interest in signing Kendrick Bourne. So 4 seasons with the 49ers from 2017 to 2020, total of 137 catches, 1,769 yards, 11 touchdowns. He also played 4 years with the Patriots, almost had identical numbers to those with the Patriots. So the 49ers, I will be having some moves here, the corresponding moves off of what they did. Again, the waiver wire pickup, Jordan Jefferson, a defensive tackle that at least for this period of time leaves them with 12, or adds a 12th defensive lineman to the mix. And then also nobody claimed off waivers. And then Scantling, Valdez-Scantling, coming to the 49ers. Don't know yet. Maybe we'll get some clarity on that, whether that is practice squad or 53-man. Okay, this is going to be kind of a partial video here before I go down, but Valdez-Scantling sounds like that's a 1-year deal, so that's on the 53-man. Don't know the corresponding moves for this. Also, Kendrick Bourne, among the teams that are interested in him, 49ers, Commanders, and potentially the Minnesota Vikings, all teams that have decision makers who were with the 49ers during that time that Kendrick Bourne was there. So what does that mean for Jauan Jennings and how the 49ers view that situation? That remains to be seen, and we will probably have a pretty good indication of that here in a little bit. As I said, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan meeting with the media at 2 p.m. So I'm going to end this video and head down there. And, well, thanks for watching this video. And that's it for now.